Hey everyone, my name is Colleen Cleveland, and of course, I'm your instructor for month 12. Now, I know a lot of you didn't get to the go-to meeting last night. I thank Christy Cooley for having done so. Um, but let's go over a few things in or at least a few things to think about for your philosophy that you've written. So, Kurt, good philosophy. When I say good, it's an interesting way that you basically line it up. Everything is a very linear experience. Is that something that you want to put in your mood board? Is that story type, that storytelling? Is that something that you want to show in your mood board? Is it basically you are becoming a storyteller when you decide to show your experience as a graphic designer and how you built up to that? That's just a couple things to think about. Valerie, you had some interesting stuff, and I appreciate you putting both your strengths and weaknesses. When it comes to putting weaknesses down, you definitely don't want to put those down in your design philosophy or eventually to the point. Don't worry, no points will be taken off of this. But when it comes to weaknesses, you don't want to show any weakness to an employer. You want to show confidence. So keep this in mind when you actually, if you get to the point of where you're going to write a design philosophy, say, if you have an About You page in your website or an About Us as if it's a company, of course you want to be able to highlight your outstanding team leadership skills or your love of research and development. But you don't want to show any of your weaknesses. Even if you lack actual on site experience, basically don't show that. So it'd be interesting to see how that's going to be portrayed in your mood board, um, either a love of research and your outstanding leadership skills. Kristen, let's see. You have some very interesting stuff going on here. One thing I could definitely say to you is that and I emphasize this to everyone, when it comes to text, make sure you always proofread. Because as you can see, education here is raw, sparked wrong. So you may want to make sure you go over that with Microsoft Word, just to make sure. And again, it's when it comes to communication, you want to be able to put your best foot forward because they'll take a look at your resume first. If you're going to an employer, they'll also look at your email communications. They may even, if you send them a letter, they're going to look at that. And if they do see typos, they're not going to see something that's looking at detail. So make sure that you proofread in order to be able to overcome these. Andrew Murray. Okay, let me look at this real quick. Okay, like I say, you also pointed out some of your weaknesses, and this is typical. This is when you say you're a perfectionist. Now, this could be a drawback. This could be something that that's very typical of people. They say, "Well, what's your biggest flaw?" "Well, I'm a perfectionist." Well, nowadays that can actually be a little harmful because it's also a blanket, or well, what Mr. Argo actually says is kind of like a cop out. You basically are saying, well, I'm a perfectionist and I don't want to really say anything bad about myself. So don't say something bad about yourself, but come up with a more creative idea that actually has to do, say that, well, My weakness is I did not become the doctor my parents wanted me to be. Maybe something creative, maybe something humorous. But, you know, emphasizing your weaknesses in your philosophy is something you want to contemplate, but you don't want the employer to actually know about it. Now, Christy Cooley and I had a nice conversation yesterday. Like I say, she's going to be looking at basically things that actually might help her as far as maybe the psychology of color. Is it something that she wants to highlight for her military intelligence background? It's something she wants to do military wear? Is this something that she wants to emphasize? Do you want to do the red, white, and blue color scheme, or do you want to do something that's a little more akin to what you do? But again, look at the demographics as to where exactly you want to go. Lauren Peterson. Let's see. Okay. Again, let's go. It's great up to these. That actually it's very good for here. You're talking you have a strong belief in color, emotion, and visual cohesion. That's going to be interesting to see how you put that on a mood board. But it actually gives you nice visuals to be able to think about. And then, of course, down here you say bold and then sensual and then creative. So, again, those are great ways to be able to start thinking about what you can wind up putting on your board. If you have when you say bold, are you talking color? Are you talking font? Are you talking just in general something that image that happens to be bold? And again, let's go down to the weaknesses. And of course, like I say, perfectionism. Everyone is a perfectionist. But again, if you have a creative director who is dealt with many people, and he takes a look at your resume and he said, well, perfectionism. Do I want to, maybe he'll ignore it. Maybe he'll say, okay, your perfectionism. Well, this person really throws himself into their work. And then on the other hand, they might actually take an issue with it. They may say, perfectionist. Well, I've run into some perfectionists in my life, and they have literally I have to rip the project out from their hands in order to get anything done because they constantly are working on it. So, I mean, those are things to think about. They may take it as a good thing or a bad thing. So you might want to come up with something unique when it comes to if are ever asked the question. And I say never include that in your design philosophy. But if you ever interviewed and they ask you what your weakness is, come up with something interesting. And also, make sure they never find out about you wanting to run away or avoid completing new and challenging tasks on time, because this is something that most people would say. Okay, you don't like things that are new, you don't like challenging things, and you are fearful basically of turning in anything on time. And it's not, they'll stop right there. They won't even say because you're afraid of it not being professional or attractive enough. So, I mean, think about this can be something you can think about, but I would suggest also to get past that. Because the fact is, you are in the program, you have gotten this far, you are good enough, you just have to believe in that. And last we have Darcy Miller. This is actually great. She's this is one interesting thing I happen to pick up. She has a bachelor's degree in foreign languages, which if you do have a bachelor's degree in something like psychology, something in engineering, something to English lit, emphasize as to where those particular things can come into play. If you've ever been in engineering, you'd understand that design is not their forte. They're very technical, and there are very big openings as far as going in there and making it user friendly. So, and viewer friendly for everybody who's outside of the engineering department. So it's something that has opportunity to it. In the case of, like I say, Darcy, uh, hers is in foreign languages, and of course that can automatically put her into working with international corporations, depending on what kind of languages she deals with. So, I mean, look at some of these things that you are putting down in your design philosophy. Do you have words that are expressive, such as being bold? Do you have words that, such as leadership? How do you wind up expressing those? And most of all, I want you to take a look maybe at your own kind of color psychology. I want you to take a look as to, are you somebody who's more attracted to cooler colors or warmer colors? Maybe you're conservative. Maybe you're conservative and then you go by all earth tones or jewel tones. Maybe you are very flashy and you'll go for brighter tones. So just some things to think about. And lastly, think about what your demographic is. One thing about your demographic is you're going to want to position yourself, whether it's for a particular company that you want to work for really badly, or if you want to work for a particular area, such as the military, or maybe you want to work for schools, or or maybe you want to work for a chain business of some sort, like a restaurant chain. So, I mean, position those types of things so that you are noticed. If you do have any questions, you can email me at ccleveland@fullsail.com. And of course, if I'm not going to be in the office for the rest of the week, so if you do have any questions, email is the best way to get attached to me. But you could also iChat me on MD underscore MFA underscore design success at me.com. All right. Well, hopefully next Monday you guys might be around. Maybe talk about your mood boards a little bit, and hopefully I'll see you then. Other than that, have a great week.